Chapter 2, Mishnah 2. We learned in the previous Mishnah that while the rabbis decreed that even chulin liquids touched by a sheni generally become a rishon, chulin liquids touched by a tevul yom remain tahor. This Mishnah illustrates these laws by distinguishing between liquid that is touched by a tevul yom and liquid that is touched by a person's unwashed hands, which also have the status of a sheni. And we now turn to the words of the Mishnah. If a pot was filled with liquids and a tevul yom touched the liquid in the pot, the law is as follows. If it was liquid of teruma, the liquids are rendered unfit through the touch of the tevul yom, while the pot remains tahor. The tevul yom renders liquids that he touches a shlishi, as we learned in the previous Mishnah. They are therefore unfit and cannot be eaten. The liquids do not make the pot tameh, however, because the shlishi cannot make even teruma tameh, and certainly not chulin food or utensils. But if the liquids in the pot were liquids of chulin, then everything is tahor, since, as we learned in the previous Mishnah, a tevul yom was not included in the rabbinic decree concerning liquids. His touch cannot make the chulin liquid tameh, and since the liquid remains tahor, the pot certainly remains tahor. However, the Mishnah notes this is not always the case. But if his hands were unclean, meaning if the tevul yom had not washed his hands before touching the pot, so that in addition to having the regular status of a tevul yom, his hands were tameh with the rabbinic tuma decreed upon the hands of anyone who has not rinsed his hands, and he then touched the liquid in the pot, then everything, even the pot, becomes tameh, even if the liquid is chulin. Unwashed hands, which are treated rabbinically as a sheni, are subject to the rabbinic decree regarding liquids. Thus, when his unwashed hands touch the liquid in the pot, it becomes tameh as a rishon, and the rishon liquid then makes the pot tameh as a sheni. And this is an instance where the law of tuma of unwashed hands is stricter than the law of a tevul yom, for the touch of unwashed hands makes chulin liquids a rishon, while the touch of a tevul yom does not. Although in the cases discussed above, the sages treated the tuma of tevul yom more leniently than the tuma of unwashed hands, this is not always the case. But there is also an instance where the law of tevul yom is stricter than the law of unwashed hands, for any uncertainty regarding the touch of a tevul yom will render the teruma unfit, while uncertainty regarding the touch of unclean hands is considered tahor. That is, if one is in doubt whether a tevul yom has touched teruma or not, that teruma is treated as if it has definitely been touched by the tevul yom, and it is possible. But if one is in doubt whether he touched teruma while his hands were unwashed, the teruma is presumed to still be tahor. In this case, we treat the teruma that may have been touched by the tevul yom more strictly than the teruma that may have been touched by a sheni.